Archon Calpurnia. What I am writing is my account of the 19 years of my life, under the servitude of Lord Amron Forfax of Minrathos, as his most precious slave. As of right now, I am traveling with a group of companions in the southern region of Tethys, but at some point in our travels, Tevinter is a destination on our map. My parents were already serving Amron when I was born, so in truth, I was born to slavery. When I turned 5, my father escaped, leaving me and my mother alone, and due to that, I was forced to work for Amron at a young age, working as a servant to him, making tea, cleaning floors and dishes, carrying important items, and always staying by his side. Anytime I'd caused a mistake, whether small or big, or when I disobeyed an order he gave me, he would have whipped me at the post for a number of times, forced me to clean up any blood that was left, and on most cases, not be given rations and be left to starve. Those were my punishments. This happened to me throughout the course of my entire life. Every day or so, he has put me on that same post and broke my back until I learned what I've done. My body now has become an art of torture. Small scars riddled the entirety of my upper torso and arms. I was only able to recover thanks to my mother's healing hands, which has also been passed down to me. I believe that the reason he has always with me was because he knew that I could recover from my injuries with my medical knowledge, yet I cannot be certain. While my body has survived the torture, my mind has shattered with the trauma, pain, and oppression. I have escaped from him, seeing that was the only option to get freedom from the trauma, and became a doctor to help the people who need my skills. I have broken the law in Tevinter, but it is a law that has brought pain and suffering to many who have lived a similar life to mine. I know that you have interest in abolishing slavery in Tevinter, and I hope that this letter will assist in your decision. If I must speak for slaves who have suffered like me, so be it. I will play victim and tell my story of oppression to all, if that can give us freedom from our cruel masters. However, the reason I want to return to Tevinter is to face my fears and nightmares, to return to Amron and bring him to justice, whether that's imprisonment or tranquility. That is my only wish when I return. I know it sounds like a long shot, and almost stupid to do, but I have not slept well ever since I ran. I still have nightmares about him, and I believe my only way to conquer my fears is to face him for the last time. I thank you for reading my account, and I hope that my message has been heard. Sincerely, Tyrion Seedoff, Doctor.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Dragon Age Ascension. This is session number 17, and a lot of stuff has been going on. Things are taking a turn, and it's yeah. So we are currently have just dropped several bombs down. And before we get into that, I wanted to jump right into our warm-up question. If you guys never got involved in this adventure at all, if you guys had never even gotten bitten by these jeweled dragonflies in the first place, what do you think your characters would be doing now in that alternate reality?
I kind of feel bad because I've already literally said what would happen. But yeah, he would start. There's a few options, but everyone knows what would happen. He would go and hunt the Darkspawn and start killing people, and he'd either die killing mindless Darkspawn in the Deep Roads, die killing one of the two remaining Archdemons, or after somehow surviving all of that, die killing the Awakened Darkspawn, or if he survives even that, die from suicide. So yeah, I've already said it a lot.
In your mind, what do you think would be the likeliest outcome? How successful do you think he would get to killing off all the Darkspawn and the Awakened?
He might get to an archdemon. Frankly, the way I see it, if he pisses off the Darkspawn enough, he just gets swarmed and ripped apart and consumed, like Mike in Attack on Titan by Darkspawn in the Deep Roads. He goes to another Tig like Bonehammer, but unlike in Bonehammer, this time he's torn apart. And he dies alone with no one there to witness.
Oh, sad man. Yes. I mean, it's not that difficult probably. So he probably would have been still with the circus, like going around and helping them out and all that. Maybe he would have left them at some point, like went on to continue his wandering ways of a doctor, go continue on Neanderthals, borders of Orlais, maybe go down a different area and doing what he's known to do, going around helping people, assisting the sick, the wounded, um, continue helping people as much as he can as a doctor. Um, I don't think in this scenario he wouldn't have been too eager to return back to Winter. I think he would have been avoiding it as much as he can unless Darren came up to him.
I was gonna say Darren probably would have still caught you.
So the possibility of him being captured is possible. Would he have he would have tried his best to escape and squirm away, but knowing what Darren could do, and knowing, I think Tyrion, he would have probably been taken back to Amryn, and Amryn would have put him back in duty as a servant again, and he would have to try and find some way to either end this cycle or
Yeah, I think the only reason you were not taken by Darren was because you were with the party.
yeah. So, and because he had no help, so I think, yeah, it's either a cycle of running away, escaping, and then like getting captured and thrown back into Amryn eventually, and
If Darren never captured you or Darren never found you in the first place, what would be the most realistic outcome of you actually getting certified as a doctor? Because you actually have the time to actually be
Yeah.
certified.
I think he would have. I think he would have actually found some
okay.
time to try and actually certify himself as a doctor. Maybe, see if the Chantry allows him to certify himself as a doctor and become an actual doctor, rather than just some wanderer like, yes, I'm a doctor. Yes, I am.
So the party is holding you back, is what you're saying. So the party's holding you back. Okay. So my vision is that you end up getting your certification and you live happily ever after with Tumble.
No, not Tumble. Don't even. No.
Anyone but Tumble.
Anyone but Tumble, please no. He would have just wandered. He was just continued wandering. That's what he was. That's what he has been until now.
Okay.
No.
With
what you're
Tumble
saying-
following not far behind.
Yep. What you're saying, Ethan, is that we are the Krillins that are still alive, preventing you from going Super Saiyan as a doctor. That's what you're saying, right?
I mean, maybe. God damn it.
Oh well, what Leon would probably be doing is, he'd see the circus and be like, "Huh, that was neat," and then he'd go back to his trees, and then occasionally, do some blood magic, and eventually find his way to the city of chains, and then not have the moral dilemma of, all these party members that I could potentially mess up with my blood magic. No, I'd just be a secret blood mage.
Interesting. Okay, so you think you would have pursued blood magic? Oh, okay. So again, the party essentially has been holding you back.
Yeah, I could have been so much more. I could have.
Yeah.
I don't have like the moral compass anymore. I would maybe,
So
experiment.
Leon would have been okay with Nazim taking the fall, because that's the whole reason that Leon got out the tower, was Nazim vouched for him.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So you wouldn't even go back to the tower with your thesis then? You would
No, because
Wow.
he'd be thinking, blood mage into the tower. That doesn't sound like a good time.
Okay.
I just had a follow-up question, I guess. Do you think he would have ever gone back to his house?
Ooh,
Mm.
maybe.
Do you think he would have made it, knowing what you guys had to go through?
Do you
Would he
think
have
A,
made
he
it?
would have gone back, and B, he would have made it? And I guess C, when would he have gone back? After Kirkwall or before?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question.
Probably. That's a. Depending on if he went to the Forest of Tirashan first, for his thesis, and then secret blood magic, he would probably have dropped by his parents' house looking for clues, and he would have encountered that enchantment, probably gotten through the first one, but maybe not the graveyard, because it took a few tries and errors. So I don't know how many tries you get before you end up dead. So
Okay.
Follow-up question: would you murder Garrison if he was still alive? In the
Oh, that's an excellent
That's a
question.
great
Would you have
question.
done it? Yeah.
I think if
would
Sir
you-
Garrison, depending on how depraved of blood magic he gets into, because there's no moral compass there. It's just him himself in the woods. Maybe experiment on a few woodland creatures. How a serial killer starts out, and then
I think Pyrus would have pushed you to.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Pyrus would have
Without
definitely
Dareth in there
pushed
to
you
also give
to.
the other perspective, Pyrus would have just been unfiltered.
Pyrus would have had Pyrus would have had a field day.
Man, so what you're saying is this party's keeping me back from the evil
Yep.
lord I could be.
Yes.
Yep.
We stopped Leon from corrupting all the way.
He just corrupted 90% of the way. We stopped that 10%, guys. We did it.
Yeah.
We won the game.
I could have been the big bad evil guy for season 4.
You
That's
could have
true.
been Darth Leon.
Darth Leon.
Oh, by the way, fan art of Dark Leon now, please. So just saying now, let's assume he went to the Tirashan, got through, found all the stuff, went back to the Spire, but was then assigned Garrison at the Spire, and then had to go to Kirkwall. Considering that Garrison would have been the one there instead of us, would he have just then murdered Garrison right then and there?
Ooh,
But to open up his thing?
it really depends on how Pyrus was, pushing him, and how much he could have gotten away with blood magic. Because Leon had a big vendetta against Garrison, for the whole parent murdering things. And I don't know if he would have gone back to the White Spire so soon, though. But yeah, no, he would probably have killed Garrison. I'll just say that. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Remind me to mention something during the vlog, because I have some. Now that people have been talking about certain things, I have some things to reveal that I actually will not post publicly. But I thought you guys might find interesting. So, okay.
Any particular prompt I should write down?
Ask Hark about campaign endgame.
Got it.
Oh.
As in, not this campaign, but the 10-year,
Oh,
endgame.
Oh.
the 10-year end game where we get everyone to return.
Where you have everyone to return, yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
boy, okay.
I have something that I thought I would share with you guys, but I'm not going to reveal it to any of the viewers yet.
Year mark?
No,
Athenium is 8.
8, and then
Okay.
there's
Athenium is
Pick-
number 8.
9 is pick your own, and 10's end game. Yeah. Anyway,
So, anyway, who's next? Pasha or... Okay, go ahead, Pasha.
So Pasha would have made her way to Olay,
Yes.
and I presume she could have picked up Dandelion's trail. I think
Yeah.
she would have gone to the guards rather than going to the White Spire. So, but I think she could have still picked that up, and she would have head down into the deep roads trying to find him, and either she would have been murdered by Darkspawn, or she would have found him, had that reunion, and then ended up being killed by him because Dethan wasn't there to be like, send in the ogre, go. Yeah, so probably dead in the deep roads.
Would she have gone to the deep roads, or would she thought the more efficient way to get to him would be to go to Weishaupt and wait for him to return back from the deep roads?
Ooh. I think if the guards knew where, like, if they, he said he was going to this section of the deep roads,
Okay.
then she would have gone there. But if they had said, we know he joined the Grey Wardens, but we don't really know where he is, she would have gone to Weishaupt and just been like, I'm gonna live here now. This is
True.
where I am.
Because you were never actually told where in the deep roads he was. Just he was in the deep roads, and he was going in the direction of Ferelden, but that's still like a huge. Like the only reason you ran into Daniel is because you ran into the Guardians, while getting the gold, looking for the Golden Hala. And I don't know if you would have necessarily been looking for the Golden Hala if you never met Athon. So, who knows? I mean,
The other interesting thing is that Pasha would have met Corin instead of Rousseau.
that's
about the
true.
same
She
time.
would have met Corin instead of Rousseau. That would have been interesting if you went to Weishaupt instead.
Then she would probably be in Weishaupt mothering Corin instead of Mother
Yeah.
Henning Rousseau.
That would have been interesting. And then Rousseau would have showed up. Well, we haven't gone to Tommy yet, but I'm just thinking in that reality, Rousseau would have showed up to kill Corin. And then would you have been like, let's sit down and work this out over some tea?
I think she would have just like kind of clipped both of them behind the ears, like, "What are you doing, your siblings? Stop this!"
Yeah. Do you think that Pasha would have? Let's hypothetically say that somehow you end up at a dead end, and like you don't act, you end up not finding any leads to Dandelion, maybe not even to Orlais, who knows. Would she have returned back to Saharon? And if so, would she consider taking over the position of, what was the position that
Arakune.
Arakune? Would she have considered that?
If she found nothing, and obviously in this timeline she hasn't been exposed to blood magic, so she's kind of like, oh, re-education will be easy. She would have gone back very happily. Well, not happily, but
knowing that you did everything you could. I did everything I could.
And I think in that timeline she would have just gone with the flow of like, if the Arakune picks me to be his successor, then obviously I'm gonna accept, but I'm not gonna like go up against Azra and fight for it.
Okay.
I'm just gonna kind of go with the flow.
Okay. And Rousseau.
Okay, so I'll be honest, I feel like Rousseau has like the most dull alternative version compared to everyone else. I think he probably would have come back from the circus, tried his darndest at the case, and I don't think without the party he would have won it like he did. So he probably would have lost his career than just tried to salvage what he could, in Navarra being content but not fulfilled.
Do you think that your relationship to Balin would have been any different than it is now?
I feel like it would have fractured a little bit more, especially when things would have gotten tougher after Russo lost his career. Because I feel like, if I'm wrong, let me know, how it was set up was like he kind of needs to win this case because it's been a dry period for a real long time.
Yeah.
I feel like the initial year or so things would have gotten bad, and Russo would have caved and told Balin to try to save it and fix things. And then from there, I really don't know how it would have gone.
How do you think things would have gone if you didn't join the party and then the Pentaviv Guardians found you and Balin?
I think they would have taken Balin, honestly, without the rest of the party there. They would have been like, thanks for saving our buddy. We don't need you anymore.
And then what would happen to Rousseau once he lost Balin?
He probably just would have gave up at that point, not really like killed himself, but any real ambition in his life would just be over because he stoked everything on Balin and raising him right until he got to the party and realized that I can be more.
Okay.
Tranquil without the ritual.
Tranquil without the ritual. That's a very good description.
Like, he would have gone full Violetta from season 2, like, I can't really feel or see anything.
Yeah, just going through the motions. Yeah. So the party was holding you back.
Yes, that was the goal from the get-go.
You could have gotten your full potential of broody.
Well, we can't say the party held me back from death. The party held Rousseau back from depression. The party held I'm saying Ethan when it's Tyrion. Tyrion from his doctorate, held back Pasha from a happy life as the Arakune and the supreme leader of the Kunari who's going to conquer the world, and held back our Dark Lord, Leon. Like, what is this party? It's our worst party ever.
I think we're a good party. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, that timeline's much more interesting because I don't have to be here.
Oh God. Oh.
Would you like me to answer that question with any of the party members?
Oh.
So, well, I mean, it's a given that Valor. We know what would have happened to Valor.
We don't have to.
Just stay in stasis till whenever.
Till whenever. Mm-hmm.
I think the only interesting one would be Rosie, because Darren would have caught Tyrion and then, got her citizenship. Baum would have been like, Daretham, you probably shouldn't do this, but I'm not going to stop you.
Actually, it could be interesting if Baum was the one to like kill me in the end.
Ooh, sacrifice.
Cool.
Though I would say either Rosie or Nathan. I'm curious what Nathan's life would be like without us, because he hasn't done much around us. So
I'd assume he'd take to the throne after being properly tutelaged by his parents.
I can answer it both for Rosie and Nathan, actually.
oh, okay.
Nathan would definitely remain sheltered because he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, pretty much, and a lot of his influence, a lot of his psychological or moral influence would have been from his father mostly. And yeah, I mean, I think that after returning back from Saharan, he probably would have continued living a quote-unquote boring life. Until, well, I can't say that because that's spoilerish territory for later in the campaign. So until
the Qunari invade and everything goes to shit and he goes to war and he has to fight for his father because his father died in like an aerial bombardment attack from the air. Okay.
That's one theory. That's one theory. And then as for Rosie, the whole reason why she left, or not left, but she went on a mission to keep an eye on the Butcher and make sure he was in his best behavior. So the Butcher was not in his best behavior. I kind of see Rosie as, she's the kind of person who would have tried to make contact with you finally and tried to talk you out of it, but I don't know how successful that would be. So
okay, I'll just say, depending on when she contacts, in what scenario, and if she tries to stop him or not, Daretham could have tried to kill her.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Daretham would have tried to
I don't know if he would have succeeded, but I think it's either the case of Rosie either just leaves Daretham alone, dies by Daretham's hand, or she's the one to kill Daretham. One of the three. Actually, it's a great scenario. Daretham's in the Deep Roads, he's doing all this butcher stuff, and Rosie comes up and it's just like, hey, what the shit, man? And he starts to eventually attack her, like, you're in my way. And so she just puts him in a biotic stasis and then just leaves, and that's how he gets swarmed and eaten.
My thought was, you get into some sort of altercation, she probably has to defend herself, she puts you eventually into a stasis, and then she gets tainted and gets very, very sick, and then eventually doesn't make it. That was my thought. She gets tainted.
I would definitely have used my blood as a weapon.
Yeah. So you guys were holding Rosie back there too. Okay.
Happy fun times, everybody. Happy fun times.
All right, so let's take it from where we left off. I believe what did Tyrion say when we left off? Skull, could you reenact that again?
Yes, I will. Give me a moment. What the fuck?
That's right. Oh,
what
that's
the right. As he sees the pirate's book, like head just pops out. Wait, so I'm what, the bloodline of Tyrans, of slaves?
Do you remember what your father or mother's name was?
He thinks. Yeah. And he goes and like he remembers. Shit. Actually, no. I never mentioned their names. I never mentioned their name.
Yeah, I don't think you put any of their names down in your document. But realistically, would you have known your father's name?
No, he wouldn't know his father's name because he left when he was. Yeah, so he just goes.
You probably knew your mother's name.
Yeah.
But I don't think your mother's name was named Tyrion.
No, definitely not. He just looks confused, like, not my father's name. No, I know my mother.
It could all just be a coincidence, but I have a gut feeling about this.
So that's why he kept me then.
Nathan say, okay, hold on a second. Nathan comes over and he actually puts a hand on Tyrion's shoulder. how are we supposed to know that this isn't all just some BS just to save your skin and prevent us from destroying you later?
Nathan, think about it. I mean, realistically, this book belonged to Leon's parents. Leon's parents knew. Tyrion's slave master. It's a direct line.
I just think I don't doubt that this book has come upon some new memories. I don't doubt that. I'm just saying that we still can't 100% trust everything he says. Doesn't mean he suddenly turns a new leaf just because he remembers X, Y, and Z.
I don't know. I do not know. I do not know of this whole bloodline story. This is the first I've heard of it, so I don't know. It sounds crazy, but
I mean, what would the book really have to gain from making this up?
yeah.
Well, for one thing, it would be less likely for Tyrion to want to destroy him after all of this is over.
He sort of looks at Nathan, sort of with a almost with suspicion, but also it's like, well, yes, the book will still be destroyed, but even this, I don't know. This is look. I don't know. This is the first time I've heard this. I never knew my father's name. He left me when I was young. So I don't know if this is truth or this is just some bullshit, but
Well, ask Mr. Bunn then. Go ahead. Mr. Bunn can read my mind and he can tell you whether I'm lying or not. Go on. You'll vouch for me, right? He says, turning towards the rabbit, wherever it is. It might be in the bag still.
It'd probably be with Leon, actually.
Okay.
yeah.
That's
Tyrion-
all the proof that I have. Just have Mr. Bunn read my mind.
Tyrion just is going to say, look, whatever this is, well, really the only person who might know, that would be impossible. He looks back to where Dertim is.
Darren says, are you suggesting that we ask Amarin himself? Is that what you're suggesting, Tyrion?
I don't know. Right now, this is not our priority. This is something that just came up. Right now, our priority is Leon. I point at Leon. As much as this will help me at least understand my past, maybe, or whatever my families were, but still, our priority is that. Whatever this is.
She turns to Leon and she says, well, I'm not super superstitious, but they do say that killing a virgin is bad luck.
Can I ask a question? Pasha looks very uncomfortable, but like, if the book could just confirm for me, you're saying that Leon has the soul of Urthamiel, correct?
Yes, that is exactly what I am saying.
And he's had this from being very, very young.
Ever since he was a little bit above a year old, maybe even closer to 2.
And when you remembering this hasn't actually affected Leon in any way. Leon hasn't unlocked something, he just knows this information, correct?
He just is more aware now of who he is.
So I will ask again, how does this information change anything? All the time he spent with Dertham, he fought in the Deep Roads, he spent a week pretty much exclusively hanging out with the broodmother Razakale, and nothing occurred. How does this even change anything? He's still the same as he was last week.
Well, clearly it seems to have affected his mental state. He seems to be absorbing this information rather volatilely.
He's having a mental breakdown. I think is what happened.
And
At
then,
least.
if maybe I'm wrong, the side reels said that Leon's a weapon.
They said
Yeah.
he's a weapon.
Okay, us five, we can like hear this song. Apparently, it was by the augur, someone else, because it turned into Clear Thought,
Mhm.
and they said he's awake. This changes things, and then pew.
Psst.
I can imagine that having the soul of an old god could be utilized in some way. So maybe that's what they meant.
Pyrus, does this, to your knowledge, would Leon having this soul manifest in any specific ways as he gets older?
I'm sure that it would, especially given how he is a mage. I'm sure it would manifest it in some way. How? I have no idea. I don't have any personal experience dealing with someone actually putting the soul of an old god into a person's body. Remember, I was not I who wrote. I'm not the one who writes these rituals. Other people have to add them to my bindings.
Yeah, I'm gonna look. I'm gonna look to everyone and say, well, right now that is a concern, but now we also have another concern. Look at Daretham, who's currently still like we're hearing the sound of blasting trees. Him.
He's gonna need a moment more than anything.
Well, whatever happened, looked like he really wanted to eat Leon up.
I have a feeling I know where he was coming from.
That's true. I'm sure it wasn't just nugs and ponies when you found out something about yourself either. So I suppose you of all people, can understand what the boy is going through.
Okay. Nathan, help me untie Leon.
Nathan's, I guess, will go and follow you. Before we revive Leon, though, I want to get to Daretham. So while this is happening, Daretham, you're deforesting things
Yeah.
right now. You'll hear somebody call out in a gruff voice, Daretham, Daretham. It is the sound of Bomb,
Got it.
who has just arrived. I'm gonna say Rosie and Valor. Those are the only other.
Bomb, Rosie, Valor.
Bomb, Rosie, and Valor are together, and Bomb's going to say, "What happened? Why are you so upset?"
At this point, he's stopped his thing. He's just kind of standing, and you can see like this ring of ruined trees. It's not because his arcane lance is particularly powerful, but he's just been like, consistently blasting, and he's just kind of standing there breathing heavily. And then he gives like this final just shout, and just one more lance just hits into a tree, and it just topples over.
Dumat's breath. We were camped out a few ways away, and we just started randomly seeing all these trees falling all over the place. What's going on?
I had to vent. And Baum would know that
Apparently.
Daretham vents via catharsis, not relaxation. So to do this much damage, and Baum would have seen Daretham vent before, he had to have been angry.
I've never seen you this upset before, at least not since we left the deep roads the first time.
Long story short, Leon's an old god.
He's what? Rosie said, he's what?
The soul of Arthemiel is in his body. And he just looks at Baum, and Baum would know, like, wait, Archdemon, oh.
Baum doesn't respond to that immediately. He's just responding. And Rosie then says, "Where is Leon?"
Tied up a little bit back that ways with the rest, last I saw.
Tied up? Rosie looks puzzled.
He had a bit of a bad reaction to the discovery. Granted, I did too, but...
Rosie breaks away and heads towards the direction where everybody else is.
Yeah. Daretham is like starting to get like suck himself up. He's vented his rage. He's thinking a little more coherently, so he's starting to get ready to go back, but he's not going back yet.
Bomb kind of he kind of walks in front of Daretham, and then he places a finger piece, because his hands are too big. He places a finger a piece like on your shoulders as he's looking right into your eyes, and he says, "You're more than welcome to beat on me for a bit, if that's what you wish. I can take the hits.
Thank you.
I've been spending my years giving other people a massage. It would be nice if somebody could wail on my back for a change," he says as he cracks his back a little bit.
And Daretham chuckles. Thank you for the offer. I've already vented enough, but I may take you up on that in the future.
Oh, really? You don't think Darren would mind, would you? What if she found out? People would talk.
He just kind of is about to answer, stops. I mean, she may ask to watch, but either way, I think I'll be okay for now.
Yes, you're right. I think she would, knowing her.
Let's go back and talk with the fucking thing that enslaved me for us millennia. Yay. And he just grumbles to himself as he walks back with Bomb.
Rosie's going to find the rest of the group, and right now Leon is unconscious, tied up to a tree. Like, where did you tie him up? Is he tied up to anything, or is he just tied up in general?
I'd like to think we tied him to a boulder on the ground.
Okay. I think that Rosie is just going to approach Leon, and he's just unconscious, and she's gonna sigh, and then I think she's gonna take her hand and just kind of do that with his hair, just softly do that with his hair, and she just kind of just shakes her head a little bit with a concerned look on her face.
I was gonna say, sorry for doing the bad hit on the head. There's a little small bulge, I imagine, from my smack.
Okay, I think that she'll notice the bump on the head, and I think she'll start to open up her pack, and she's just gonna take some elf fruit out, I think.
Rosie, 1 second. I'm gonna untie him and put him on the ground.
Why did you guys need to tie him up in the first place?
He took it bad, and let's just say the magic started erupting from him.
Yeah, it was pretty bad mental breakdown.
What did he do? Was he hurting people?
Nobody seemed close. He pulled a dagger on Daretham, and Daretham went for him, and things escalated from there.
He pulled a dagger on Daretham? They're like best buddies, almost.
Rosie? Did Daretham tell you?
He told me about him being a old god.
Daretham heard that secondhand from when me and Nathan found out privately. He didn't get the chance to process it, and the two went at each other.
Yeah.
I unfortunately know what that's like.
We had to stop them, so...
So Leon needed to be bumped in the head and tied up, and Daretham didn't, she said, as she's looking at the trees right now that are all falling down.
Daretham was also knocked out. He just woke up first.
Yeah. We had to haul him to here, so...
At this point, I'd say I'd walk in and go, yes, well done in diffusing the situation, and I'm sorry I reacted how I did.
At this point, I'd like to say that Leon's promptly been untied and just laid down calmly. You all take a moment. Daretham, a word?
Sure.
Before you guys, or as you guys are going off privately, I think Rosie's probably going to pull up Leon's head and just resting it on her lap. She's sitting cross-legged, and she's just going to rest Leon's head on her lap. And she's just going to be stroking his hair a little bit.
I'm going to pull out some sort of medical, like I imagine some cream and like bandages. I'm gonna sort of try and massage the bulge and then bandage the head from the bump.
As me and Risa are going off, and I kind of approach the room. So I took the spirit magic talent, and at novice level, anyone within 6 yards, I can sense their mood in like one word. So angry, confused, happy, etc. As a minor action, and probably it's because I've been using all this magic now, so it just kind of got me this new thing. So I'll go ahead and just as we're walking, since I'm in the range of everyone, just quickly minor action and just get a general read the room emotionally. It's like a one-word explanation of the general emotional feelings from everyone.
Sympathetic for Russo.
Concerned for Rosie, for Nathan, it's suspicious.
Okay.
For Bomb, confused.
Okay.
For Darren, worried, and for Valor, hungry.
Perfect.
For Tyrion, fear.
Mhm.
For Pasha, concerned.
And is there anything going on in Leon's unconscious head?
Yeah, I'm gonna get to that.
Okay. And then as we walk off, I'll just turn to Pasha and say, I think Valor could use something to eat. And then he'll head off.
You did what I did, Dartham.
He just shrugs like, yeah.
Do you think you're over it entirely, or is this going to be a continuing problem?
I wasn't over this ever. So, I won't attack him. Not unless he does something else that's dangerous to us.
Okay.
I'm sorry I reacted in the moment, and I can tell you it won't happen again, but...
No, I think we as a group handled that entire situation rather poorly. Dartham, I'm not going to be mad at you, because I did the same to you. But just as how you didn't get a say in what's happened to you, I didn't have a say what's happened to you. No one here has asked for what's happened. We won't hold this against Leon unless if it needs to be. And I need that confirmation from you now.
Yeah, Dartham thinks and just says, to be fully fair, I don't know if it was her Themiel or her archdemon form that was controlling me. If it was the archdemon form, then no, I'm done. If it was her Themiel, and he says, then she can. He stops himself. Then Leon gets one more chance. But I do not condone what Leon did to Pasha by opening that box. So I can very well judge him for that decision.
Okay. I'm only going to ask that you tread lightly, because this is the kind of thing where we're getting to the point where one mess up will kill us, Dartham.
I'm aware. I am going to be keeping a sharp eye on him.
That's fair. I did that to you. It's just... this party needs to stop judging on face value, and I think that needs to be set across the board.
Pasha implied that by Leon's actions, she or someone she cared about would die. I don't know the specifics there, but if that's the case, then Leon's a murderer.
She wouldn't technically be wrong, but that's more of a cultural guilt than anything else from her.
Tanari thing.
I don't know how much Pasha's told you. I don't know a heck of a whole
Barely
lot
none.
myself. But what she's seen here, she's saying that she'd be re-educated to knowing nothing upon going back. And that's something she willfully chooses to do.
And Dartham actually chuckles and like can't stop himself.
And she decries blood magic from mind control.
Everyone's a hypocrite in their own right.
Oh, I know, me as well. If you want to talk to her about it, you're probably the best suited. You can point that out, I guess.
Okay. I think what we need to do, I think you can get through a Tyrion like no one else has, because he's got his own problems that are going to have to be resolved as well. I mean, you saw it back there. He kind of wanted to just be told he was right.
Wait, what? Tyrion? What has Tyrion to do with anything?
The void between Tyrion and Pasha needs to be solved.
Oh, right.
You handle that, and I'll handle Pasha when we have a moment.
All right. I'll focus on that. And
Okay.
I'll do my best to.
And he like does not want to say. You can see that this is almost painful for him to say, but he does say it.
I'll do my best to try to give Leon a second chance and maybe forgive them.
The only thing I'll say in response, Dartham, is me and you were alone. I could have gone much farther than I did. Think about how you want to be to him and what you can live with and go from there.
Fuck you, Rousseau. When did you get to be the right one?
I have been. I've just stayed quiet. The time for that's ended, unfortunately.
I see. Why did you not speak up earlier? This would really have helped us.
I try not to rock the boat.
Rock the boat. You steer it in the right direction most of the time.
Never had a license.
Rousseau, you've had the highest communication in this group. The communication score. And yet the person with the highest communication score has not said anything.
But yeah, Dartham says,
Well, Tyrion's a great doctor and he doesn't have a license.
Fair point.
Right, I guess Tyrion was pretty shaken by this whole thing, then beyond Pasha.
Okay. And we'll have a...
yeah, because you know
Brief
Dartham
moment.
didn't actually hear the whole Tyrion reveal, the whole like thing, so he doesn't know about that.
be touchy about Tyrion. Pyrrhus is kind of his relative.
Dartham just like,
I'm sorry, what?
and we'll say you can explain that to me as we go back.
Yep.
Leon, you wake up.
Oh boy.
You wake up, and everything around you is pitch black. You feel like you're in a very small, tight-spaced room right now. What do you do?
Well, it's a small, tight-spaced room in the dark.
And the only thing that you can feel, I should specify, the only thing that you can feel is that you are currently clutching what feels like a stuffed animal in your arms.
Nice. Okay. So the first thing that was going through Leon's mind when he saw a small, tight, cramped room is, well, I guess the Templars got me. You know, because this is what he's been having nightmares about, you know, being stuck in. But he sees Mr. Bunn, and he's like, well, at least I got you, buddy.
You can suddenly hear the sound of somebody rummaging through stuff, maybe in the next room over, like behind the wall. You can hear furniture being moved, like a bed being dragged. And then you start hearing the sound of a doorknob, like, opening.
He suddenly realizes, I'm guessing if he gets a quick survey of himself, he's young and afraid and stuck in a closet.
If that is how Leon is perceiving himself now, then that is what Leon is perceiving himself as now. Sure.
It's sort of surreal, almost like vertigo, as everything shrinks around him as he gets smaller and smaller, imagining himself as a child stuck in the room as Sir Garrison kills his parents outside the door. And he's close to hyperventilating when he remembers he's got to be quiet, and clamps a hand over his mouth as he desperately tries to control his breathing and heart rate.
You do, and you try very hard to keep your cool, so to speak, as it sounds like whoever is in the next room over is starting to leave. But then some energy starts, because of your nervousness, some magical energy starts to fizz at your fingertips, and you accidentally fire off a lightning bolt spell, or something similar to that. The footsteps that were leaving stops, turns around, and starts walking back in your direction.
In his mind, he's like, oh no, it's happening all over again. It's happening again. And he's desperately trying to remember any spell at all, anything to get him out of the situation.
For the rest of the PCs, you hear Leon saying out loud, it's happening again, just as an FYI. Back to Leon though. You hear something sliding open, and before you can react, you do see the silhouette of the figure sliding the door open, and probably to your surprise, the figure is not at all adult size. Very short figure, actually. Not a dwarf, even shorter than a dwarf. It looks like another boy.
Oh no.
A silhouette of another boy.
He's going to be very confused for a moment, because this is much different than the, I guess, core memory that he had of this event. And it's going to take him a little by surprise before he sort of stammers out, I'm sorry, who are you?
You can't see the features of the boy, you can only hear the boy's voice. And the voice says, "What are you doing here?"
This is my closet. What are you doing here?
This is my closet.
Well, I guess it's our... Let me figure this out. And he sort of grabs the boy and pulls him in. Who are you?
Do you do anything to try to get a better look at the boy? It's, again, dark. It's very dark in here.
I'm going to try to see his features, but I won't do any light type thing, because in the back of my mind, I'm still stuck on the day.
Your eyes try to adjust in the darkness, and you take a look at the features, and the boy seems to be definitely like around the age of 8-ish or so, give or take. Curly hair, build, seems to be similar to yours when you were around 8 years old. But other than that, I don't think you can see anything else details-wise because of the dark. And the boy says, "Are you afraid? You shouldn't be afraid. There's nothing to be afraid out there."
Not yet. And he closes the door behind him, because he knows, at least in his mind, he thinks he knows what's coming next.
There's a lot of bad people out there, but you don't have to be afraid of them. They just don't understand you.
I don't have to be afraid of them in here. They can't get in. They won't get in.
No, they won't get in. But you don't have to worry about that, because you can go out and punish them. Punish all the bad people.
Punish?
Yes. All the bad people who don't understand. They don't understand who you are.
At the circle, we were taught learning is understanding. Are you saying I should teach them? I don't have enough books.
They're only afraid of what you can do. They're the ones who should be afraid of you, not the other way around.
What are you saying?
Don't be afraid of them. They should be afraid of you.
But what do I have? What am I?
You are more powerful than any of them. You have been learning for so long. You have been taught many things for so long, getting you ready for this moment. For you to accept who you are and what you are, and your full potential. But there are people out there holding you back. There are people out there telling you what you can do and what you can't do. Your entire life, all people have done is tell you what you do and you can't do. Aren't you tired of that?
Yes. That... But I've got friends and... But...
They say they're friends, but they're not. They're just lying to you because they know what you are and they want to take that away from you and they want to use you so that they can get what they want. But how about what you want?
He sort of holds Mr. Bunn a little closer. What do I do?
You hold Mr. Bunn closer, and something's different about Mr. Bunn. And you can't put your finger on what it is, at least not in the darkness.
He's gonna sort of trace Mr. Bunn, as I'm sure he's done many times when he was younger, going over the features that are well...
You trace over Mr. Bunn, and you look down on it, and in the dark, you see these two red dots on Mr. Bunn's face. But you can't see anything else other than these two glowing red dots where his eyes normally are.
He's going to be taken aback a little bit, because that is not usual, but the shape of Mr. Bunn, the feeling of Mr. Bunn is still there.
He is. It's just, normally Mr. Bunn feels, it's a warm sensation when you hold him, but right now it feels uncharacteristically cold when you're holding him.
He's going to look at Mr. Bunn and sort of shake his head. No, this is wrong. What it is this? And he slowly puts Mr. Bunn down and tries to crawl away.
Oh, I see what's happening, the boy says. It's not just your friends who are holding you back. You yourself are holding yourself back. You're resisting what you actually really want.
What are you saying? And he tries to crawl back a little bit more.
He's saying, you know what happened here. You know what happened to this place. You know how angry you were. You know how scared you were. You don't have to be scared anymore. And that anger can be used for something to... Your parents. You remember your parents? They loved you. You should honor them. You should get those people who took them away from you and punish them.
Yes. Mr. Garrison, Sir Garrison is gone.
Mr. Garrison was a mean old man, and he made you go up all those steps, and he did all those really mean things. Even Tyrion thought that that he was too hard on you, but he is just only part of the problem. He's only one person. There are other people out there who need to be punished. Other people out there who have killed other people's parents just like you.
But if we kill them, are we no different?
You are different. That's the point, Leon. Don't you understand? You are different. You are special. And everyone has been trying to tell you that you're not special, that you're just like everybody else. But Leon, you're never going to be like anybody else. And the sooner that you can accept that, the happier you're going to be.
Okay. Do we make a list? This has to be methodical.
Who do you think needs to go be punished first?
He takes a moment.
Pasha blames you, you know. She's going to pay by her own people. They're going to wipe up her mind, and she blames you that it's your fault. Well, it's not your fault. You're just living your life. How dare she guilt you into thinking? How dare she make you feel bad for it? I think she should be first, don't you think?
But she's been protecting us. We wouldn't have gotten this far without her.
She's been re-educating you. She's complaining about how they're gonna re-educate her when she gets back, but this entire time, she's been getting into your head and everybody else is re-educating all of you. How about Dartham? The moment that he found out who you were, he completely turned against you just like that. You were the best of friends, and in a snap of a finger, just because he found out something that you couldn't control, he attacked you on the spot. Don't think that any of them are any different. Even Tyrion, who you were so close to back then, as soon as he found out about Pyrrhus, he was about to draw blood from you.
But we've been together for so long,
Because you're useful.
We need to record sins. We cannot be mindless murderers. We have to come up with a system of justice.
They've been using you. That's why they've been keeping you. Who was the person that got rid of all of those blood magic seals? You did. None of them could have done that without you. You're just a tool to them. Don't you understand? Don't be blinded by their lies anymore. Even Russo, he is a lawyer. You don't think that he's going to somehow take this out on you? He's losing his son because of you, because of something that you didn't even mean to. You don't think that he's going to punish you in some way? He even said so himself, that he would do you wrong even worse than Sir Garrison himself would. That's what he said. You remember.
But he's been so nice. He even lets me keep Pyrrhus. We will record their sins, and should they require justice, we'll hand it to them. We can't be mindless slaughterers. Can we?
It's not slaughtering. It's called justice. There's a difference.
Is there a way to see into their thoughts, their mind?
Yes, there is a way to see into their thoughts and their mind. You know how. Pyrrhus taught you how. You just have to stop being afraid to use it.
Yes. He sort of holds out his hand like he's flipping through Pyrrhus. Page 157.
I'm going to say that the PCs are going to start hearing Leon say page 157, and he's like using his hand as if he's flipping through a book.
Yeah, we heard his. Whatever he said, we heard him pretty much. So
Would I
Tyrion
be there while it's happening? Would we have gotten back at this point?
I'm gonna say you'll get there at that point.
I'm gonna quickly cast Spell Shield on myself.
Okay. Rosie's gonna say he's saying something, but I don't understand what he's doing or saying.
What do you
Should we
say?
wake him? He said something about it's happening again, and then he started saying a random number.
It's
That's
what number?
157, I think. Should we wake him?
Tyrion, do you still have Pyrus?
I'm gonna pull out Pyrus if it's been with me. I'm gonna turn to page 157.
Leon, at this point, I think you're gonna hear a whole bunch of voices, and you're actually sort of hearing the muffled voices, what everybody is actually saying, all the other PCs are saying, including Rosie. And I'm gonna say that Rosie's voice is probably the loudest of them, the clearest of them.
I turn to page 157 on Pyrus. Sorry, Pyrus.
It 100% has thought taking, but I also would imagine before thought taking, there's some sort of mind shielding because, first of all, you have to learn to protect yourself before you can learn to.
Occlumency before legitimacy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that, and I don't know if Tyrion can read the book.
Oh yeah, no, that's a.
What language is it?
Ancient Tevinter, I imagine.
Tevinter, yeah. So I am Tevinter, so I'm like some
You can
knowledge.
sense some stuff.
Yeah, I'm just gonna turn
knowing-
to. I'm gonna turn to Darathum here. Read.
Yeah,
I cannot understand this.
I just look over. Everyone sees that Darethim just jutted his staff to the ground, and there was a burst of newer magic. You haven't seen it before, and now he has a spell shield. So if anyone tries to cast a spell on him, it won't work if he has mana. And he's going to lean over, read it, and everyone would hear just this like unconscious.
Well, he's either reading ways to shield his mind or reading ways to read our thoughts
Leon,
and take over our minds.
can you hear me, Leon? You actually hear Rosie's voice saying, "Can you hear Leon? Can you hear me, Leon?" You can hear her. And she sounds very worried about you right now.
He's gonna sort of do a.
Don't listen to him. Don't listen to them.
Um,
Don't go back, Leon. You've gone so far. Don't go back.
He's getting pretty agitated, almost as if he feels bugs crawling all over him.
Get them out of your head, Leon. Get them out of your head.
I can't. I can't breathe. This is feeling reminiscent of when he was with both Nathan and Rousseau after learning about his soul.
Don't listen to them, Leon. Don't pay attention to them. Get them out of your head. And again, you can still hear Rosie calling out to you very clearly above the other noise.
I want to try something.
Go ahead.
In my medical bag, do I have any sort of very high, not irritable, but more like irritable smelling?
Smelling salts?
Yeah.
I'm sure you do.
I'm
sure you do.
gonna take some of them. I'm gonna put them near his nose to try and wake him up with that.
Yeah. Go ahead. Now, I am going to be playing by Inception rules, like the movie Inception, so things are playing out a lot faster in Leon's head than they are in real life.
Yeah.
So the scene is still going to continue on as you're doing that.
Yeah.
You'll see.
But do I make a roll? Do I make a roll to see what's? Yeah, salty. See, like.
Yeah, go ahead. The Epsom salts are getting up to his nose.
Medicine check, or maybe?
Oh god, 14 with 1 sum point.
Ooh,
okay.
no, that's low.
So as this is going on, Leon's going to say, "Why should I listen to you?" Sort of as a general. He doesn't know if he should listen to Rosie or if he should listen to Demon Leon, Blood Leon.
Blood Leon. Yeah. So you just yell that out loud.
Yeah.
It says that's right, and I think the boy is just going to continue saying, "Yes, that's right. Don't listen to them. Don't listen to them, Leon. Get them out of your head."
Leon's going to draw like a circle, almost like a glyph. Because he's seen the glyphs of warding, but he doesn't have that spell, so he's just going to do. He's going to cast Heroic Aura, trying to protect himself.
Okay.
At least in the dream world.
Okay, so you're gonna do that, and are you intending on protecting yourself from everybody or specific?
Everyone,
from everybody,
including
All right.
Bloodleon, because right now
All right.
he doesn't want to interact.
You in your head, in your mind, you create that circle, and I'm gonna say the room lightens a little bit, and you're no longer in a closet, but you're in a larger, unfeatured room. And you finally see that the Mr. Bun in your hand, the biggest difference with him now is that instead of white, he is now completely black. And you can actually see that blood is like trickling down from his body. And his eyes are glowing red right now.
He's going to be slightly repulsed by this scene, but very intrigued by just this entire scenario, because now it's not an external object acting on him, it's more of a introspective, like, how does this inanimate object bleed?
The boy again says, "What are you doing? Like, what? I told you to keep them out of your head, not me."
It is my head. I decide who comes in.
No, it's my head. You are in my head, and you're in my body. Get out of my body. That body's not yours, it's mine. You took that body away from me. It's my body.
He's gonna imagine like a log cabin, something very similar to his parents' house, trying to enact upon this world. Well then, if it's your body, I will build a house here.
You'll start to build the house around you, and as it's happening, you can still hear the voice yelling, "You don't belong in that body. That body doesn't belong to you. It belongs to me. That's supposed to be my life. You tapped that life away from me."
Leon, who's humiliating who's very over everyone telling him what to do. Well, until someone comes and evicts me, I am squatting here, and he's going to slam the door with Mr. Bun.
You slam the door, and as soon as you slam the door, you finally notice something about yourself, because you get a first glance at yourself, and you don't recognize your hands, you don't recognize your limbs, you don't recognize any part of your body. It doesn't look like you. And I'm gonna say that there might be like a mirror hanging on the wall, and if you look right at the mirror, you can see the reflection is not of you. It's this mass of some it's hard, you can't really see like any details on your face. It's just like this blurry mass. And you can still hear the boy calling out and saying, stuff like, that you're invading in my body, that's my body. Ever since, I was 2 years old, like I was kicked out, and like it's not fair, blah 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 blah.
He's gonna look at the mirror, sort of frown. That's not right. I'll deal with that later. And he puts like a cloak or covering over the mirror.
Okay.
And then puts Mr. Bun on, like, it's got a plate because Mr. Bun's still leaking blood, and he's going to put Mr. Bun on a plate
Sure.
on the table. And we'll deal with you in a moment. And he just sort of goes around to the windows and starts draping and closing it. And sort of tidying things up, trying to think of other things.
I'm going to say that as this is happening, the cabin door bursts open, and the log cabin that you build starts to like fall apart. And except for the wall right behind you, because the boy with superhuman strength for an 8-year-old kind of grabs you by the scruff of your shirt or whatever you're wearing and just shoves you up against the wall. And he desperately looks at you with the rage of an 8-year-old boy, tears streaming down his eyes, and he says, "Give back my body, give back my body, give back my body, give back my body!"
Leon, who has been through the harrowing, is going to make the connection like, oh, this is an inner demon, and is like, well, since we're going to be living together, not by choice, but by circumstances, I assume that we will have to live with each other. And as such, we need to lay down some ground rules. Ground rule number 1, this is my house, and he releases pressure of mana from a 18-year-old who has been trained onto this 8-year-old. And as such, you will respect my boundaries. And he's going to push him out.
Roll a willpower.
Yeah.
Does he smell the salts now, or at some point?
Yeah, he's about to.
It's been 0.3 milliseconds right now.
Yeah, it's like ever since the placement, it's been 0.3 milliseconds.
Is that a self-discipline roll?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 14.
14. Okay. I'm going to say you're going to try to force your will on this boy, but it doesn't seem to have any effect on him. And the boy just continues to like pelt you with just feelings of like dread and feelings like you don't belong, like you're a stranger and that you're like in this shell of a place, or that you're the stranger and you're the one that doesn't belong, and he's trying to like get back what was rightfully his to begin with.
Okay. Leon's momentum dies down a bit because, well, he's been rejected again. Okay, that doesn't work. Don't panic, don't panic, don't panic. Okay, well, let's start with, hi, I'm Leon. Who are you? We'll get to know each other.
Your name's not Leon. I'm Leon, the 8-year-old says with anger, and it's going to be at that point that the smelling salts take effect, and you break out of the dream, okay. And you will, I don't know if you snap awake, but you definitely probably pull back from the salts reflexively as you start to take in the scene around you.
Yeah, Leon's definitely still in fight or flight moment, so he jolts awake, and I don't know if I have the wherewithal to start moving, but
I have my hand on your chest as I'm holding you down, like, Leon.
And Rosie still has your head. Well, did have your head on her lap.
Okay. He's going to be like, oh. Okay. Where am I?
Outside of Kirkwall.
You're okay. You're okay. You think you were just having a nightmare, Rosie says.
Well, right about one thing. Was having a nightmare. I'm not okay, though. Whew. Hey, Rosie. Long time no see.
What happened? What happened in the nightmare?
We'll just package that away in the vault for now. Okay.
No, Leon. Don't you dare. This is what happened before. You didn't tell us what was happening, and you remember what happened last time when you were hiding stuff from us. We're going to deal with this, and we're going to deal with this now, Rosie says to you. And you can tell by her eyes that she's not taking no from an answer from you this time.
Okay. Well, I'm squatting in a body, and the landlord wants to evict me. Yeah. Do you have my book? There's a page I want to read to maybe not do that again.
Daretham will just say,
Which spell on the page?
And looking at Darethon, you can see the spell shield around him. He's definitely in a defensive posture, and I'm going to say Leon can kind of see that he's tense and is not necessarily angry, but is like watching for every twitch you make.
He looks up at Daretham, sort of internally winces. I'm hoping for something to protect my mind.
Explain better, Leon. Come on, don't dance around this.
Also, perception empathy test to see if you're lying.
Go ahead.
Well,
17.
Do I make a deception check or a persuasion check?
Are you lying?
It's half lie. It's a half lie, half
Go ahead.
truth.
Go ahead and roll it.